In his life, the Witcher Geralt of Rivia accomplished an inconceivable number of feats. He defeated vampires, ghosts, werewolves, dragons, even managed to overcome amnesia, and that is a lot of work. When we thought about how to retell the whole story of the White Wolf in short, we came to the only conclusion. It can only be done through his feats and exploits, traveling from one great achievement to the next, cleaning out those Augean stables of achievement, focusing only on the most significant of Geralt's victories, those events that will go down in the history of the continent as incredible feats. In the last video, we started to uncover this topic. We told the entire book history of Geralt through his most significant feats. There were 8 of them. Today, however, we move on to the game universe, and we present to you 12 more key victories in the life of the White Wolf. Together, the entire history of Geralt fits into 20 achievements, 20 feats of Geralt of Rivia. Of course, that is not all, but if we were asked to tell who Geralt of Rivia is in the best and most thorough way possible while remaining brief, we would do it this way, through his accomplishments. So let us get on with the hard work, because the old Witcher is with you guys. Before we begin, as always, we'd like to thank our patrons for their support. It motivates us to continue our work and helps the channel make regular content. Well, Geralt's exploits await. Get out your bottle of Redanian Light, for we're about to begin. Defeating Dagon. The Witcher's new life was rife with feats, destroying ghouls, even talking ones, defeating a Kikimor queen, and a monster called the Beast of the Outskirts. All of this required bravery and skill, but one particular incident stands even above all of that. Geralt of Rivia was able to defeat a true deity, to vanquish a beast that had been worshipped by people for centuries. The White Wolf's adversary was the king of the underwater world himself, the great and terrible Dagon. One day, Geralt was brought to the swamplands near Vizima. There, the Witcher encountered the threat of Dagon. That is not dead, which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons, even death may die. So was said of him. And though the legend said that one day Dagon would come to land and enslave the world, many people still worshipped them. They bowed their heads in recognition and reverence to the great power and brought him bloody offerings. The monster held the whole neighborhood in fear. Not only did it control an army of underwater dwellers, but it also whispered terrible prophecies to its cultists and drove people mad. Nevertheless, Dagon was powerless before just one Witcher, Geralt of Rivia. When the White Wolf gathered enough information and was able to summon the ancient god to battle, Dagon fell by the Witcher's sword. If this is not a feat, what act could be called one? Defeating the Salamandra and killing Azar Javid. But the main opponents of the Witcher after his miraculous return were not ancient deities. An organization of bandits that called themselves Salamandra, led by the powerful sorcerer Azar Javid, crossed the Witcher's path immediately after the arrival of the White Wolf in Kaer Morhen. Geralt did not remember all his past life, described in the previous video, and therefore plunged headlong into the confrontation with Salamandra. It all started with an attack on Kaer Morhen. Members of the criminal organization who needed Witcher mutagens fought their way into the fortress. Led by Azar Javid and the Professor, they breached the Witcher's defenses and killed a young monster slayer named Leo. Of course, Witcher Geralt had to avenge his comrade's death. Not even higher entities would want to cross the White Wolf, let alone some bandits and charlatans. With all due respect to their magical prowess, they were not strong enough. Geralt found Azar Javid and the Professor, gave them what they deserved, and practically put an end to the organization of Salamandra on his own. Victory over Jacques de Aldersberg. But Azar was not alone, as they say. Behind the actions of this unstable sorcerer was someone more powerful and just as misguided. The Grand Master of the Order of the Flaming Rose, Jacques de Aldersberg, who fancied himself the world's savior from the impending White Frost catastrophe. It was he who hired Salamandra to attack Kaer Morhen. He wanted to use them to take over the capital of Temeria, the city of Vizima. Alvin, a powerful sorcerer, was central to his plans, and in his visions he saw the world dying. He was ignited with an idea to save humanity. He wanted to lead the people south. To do that, he needed power. And to accomplish the necessary mission, as far as he convinced himself, Jacques used every lever of influence he could reach. Politicians, kings, merchants, sorcerers, all suffered at his behest and for the sake of his scheme. And only the White Wolf, Geralt of Rivia could put an end to Jacques' life overflowing with purpose, a life that could bring the most despotic tyrant in history to rule an entire kingdom. Defeating a dragon. Number 4 on this list is the Witcher's victory at the Gwent tournament. Just kidding. Or am I? Do write in the comments whether such a victory is worthy of a place in this list. In fact, Geralt's new life as a Witcher was full of adventures beyond Gwent, especially since the White Wolf's memory was clouded of all intentions and past adventures. Geralt developed a strong relationship with Triss Merigold and became a close associate of King Foltest of Temeria. Life, so to speak, was getting better. But you can't just live peacefully near kings. Something always happens. For example, the siege of a city to which a real dragon arrives. That is how Geralt was forced to perform another of his feats, to drive away the dragon, which was clearly not too friendly. Dodging and escaping from the fire-breathing creature, the White Wolf eventually managed to find a moment to plunge his sword into the dragon's palate. The beast flew away, roaring in pain, and the Witcher added one more deed to his list of great accomplishments. Interestingly though, sometime later the White Wolf got another opportunity to fight the same dragon, and in another battle he again defeated the mighty monster. That is a twofold victory over the dragon. Quite an accomplishment. Defeating the Kayran. But in addition to dragons, the Witcher came across quite unusual creatures on his path. True relicts, of which few remained in the world, extremely remarkable and very ancient. For example, remember the sea monster of colossal size, which people nicknamed the Kayran, a huge cephalopod similar to the Kraken from ancient myths and legends, with tentacles as thick as a century-old oak tree, several rows of teeth in a huge mouth. Not only that, the monster produced a very dangerous poison and had incredibly thick skin. At first glance, this monster had no weakness at all, but Geralt of Rivia would not be the man he is known to be if he retreated at the sight of even such colossal danger, especially when asked for help by an attractive-looking sorceress. Of course, from that point on, the Kayran did not stand a chance anymore. The White Wolf killed the centuries-old relic with his sword after chopping off the monster's huge tentacles. Defeating the Draug. It would seem that after the dragon and the Kayran, what could surprise the Witcher? But fate prepared the White Wolf for even more interesting encounters. For example, he had to remove the blood curse from an entire battlefield, where thousands of soldiers had died, and face a huge, powerful specter in battle. A real Draug whose body absorbed completely abnormal battlefield items like spears, planks, and shields. This spectral form became only remotely resembling a human body and grew to monstrous proportions. But as we have already learned from the fight with the Kayran, size is not the main thing for a Witcher. By obtaining the symbols to break the curse and fighting the Draug in its spectral form, the White Wolf was able to put an end to the suffering of a soul bound to the site of a large-scale massacre, and finally free the thousands of soldiers from the endless torment of having to fight again and again, to die every day, endlessly. Victory over Merheim. Along with the destruction of powerful, ancient, and seemingly invulnerable opponents, the White Wolf did not forget to treat his amnesia, to regain his memory, that is, lost after the events of the Malice Island, aka the Isle of Avalac, or the Isle of Avalon. It so happened that after passing all the tests, he finally remembered his beloved woman, Yennefer, and about the child of destiny whom he had to protect, the child of the elder blood, Ciri. The Witcher found the one who killed King Foltest, and even participated in the birth of another interstate conflict, witnessing the political genesis of the Third Northern War. Finally, he stopped performing feats with no particular purpose, just doing his job. He found something to strive for. He had to find people from his past, find Yennefer, find Ciri. But even this path presented him with many challenges. For example, Geralt had to fight a real ancient ice giant, a monster that woke up after centuries of hibernation and destroyed several settlements in the vicinity of his cave. He killed the soldiers who came to get rid of him. The giant's name was Merheim. Features: extreme cruelty and great physical strength. Basically a worthy opponent, especially when you have the help of the son of the Jarl of Skellige, Hjalmar Ancrate. Well, not quite help. It can be called more of moral support. But nevertheless, the monster was defeated. The name of Geralt of Rivia was carried across all the islands of Skellige and was written in the annals of the history of the island people. Witcher Geralt the Giant Slayer. Sounds beautiful. Defeating Imlerith. But even more pleasing to the witch's ears is the downfall of truly cruel, cunning, and powerful creatures who dared to threaten his beloved ones. When the White Wolf finally found his destiny, the girl Ciri, he faced a huge problem. Ciri was being hunted by the Wild Hunt. She was sought after in different worlds, and she was running away from her pursuers, saving herself, but she could not do it forever. Sooner or later she had to fight, and it was a Kaer Morhen, right when Ciri was found by Geralt. In this battle, the White Wolf was aided by all the people he cared for, those who agreed to come to his aid. But even the best swordsmen and sorceresses are not enough against an entire army. The gap in manpower was too great. When the Wild Hunt came to Kaer Morhen, killed Geralt's mentor, Old Vesemir, and when Ciri unleashed her destructive power, miraculously saving everyone from certain doom and driving the Wild Hunt riders away, then a new chapter began. The last one, the most important one of the story of Geralt of Rivia. The Witcher went hunting, not for monsters, but for the high-born elves who threatened the people closest to him, who had already killed the man Geralt thought of as his father. Oh yes, even the mighty spectral riders that travel between worlds and vast armies should not anger the Witcher Geralt. Revenge was swift. First, the White Wolf went after the head of Imlerith, one of the generals of the Wild Hunt army, who had snapped Vesemir's neck with his own hands. He found him on Bald Mountain during the Sabbath of the Crones of Crookback Bog, and in a personal duel, though inferior in size and military skill, the Witcher still defeated the general of the Wild Hunt, burning his head and then crushing his skull. There was more to come. Defeating the Wild Hunt. Of course, another battle with the Wild Hunt was ahead, but now it was not about defending oneself from the horsemen. It was Geralt who was looking for them. Geralt was the hunter and they were the prey. First, the Witcher killed Caranthir, the navigator and powerful spellcaster of the entire army of spectral riders. Of course, Caranthir had been badly wounded by Ciri before that, but the Witcher dealt the final blow. For in a more or less fair battle, no one stand a chance before the enraged White Wolf. And then Geralt found the king, the leader of the entire Wild Hunt army, Eredin. And yes, all the swagger of that pompous ANL warrior was gone very quickly. A precise sword stab was enough. Good thing it wasn't with a fork, and not with a spoon, as in the case of Gaunter and Dim. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Once again, only Vilgefortz could have given a tough battle with any chance of winning against Geralt, but his name was left far behind in the history of the White Wolf. Eredin, on the other hand, lost his crown very quickly, and with it his life. With his death, Ciri was no longer threatened by unseen dangers from another world. Only the living dangers of the continent remained, but they could be fought. The Witcher had done his duty to his destiny. Slaying the Toad Prince. But his story was not over. Adventure after adventure. You can't get away from this life so easily. It clings to the hero like sticky slime that gets on his clothes and cannot be washed off. Another turn in the story of the Witcher led him to the sewers near Oxenford. Fulfilling the contract of a certain Olgierd von Everec, the White Wolf met with a not-so-ancient but incredibly nasty creature, which even the city guards could not handle. A huge, swollen toad as if from a terrible fairy tale. It turned out to be not a princess, but a prince who was under a terrible curse, turning into a monster that did not realize anything and killed careless travelers left and right. In a difficult fight trying to dodge the long tongue and toxic poison of the dangerous toad, the Witcher killed the monster, without realizing it was a cursed prince. Unfortunately, the Witcher had no idea. Too bad, he could have done things differently, but destiny gave him a very bright adventure. Victory over Gaunter Dim. When the royal guards of Ophir found their prince dead, the soldiers did not bother with who the monster was or what had happened. Geralt was simply grabbed, bound hand and foot and dragged to their ship. The Witcher was being taken to trial in Ophir, imprisoned in the ship's hold, and it was unlikely that anything good awaited him there. But suddenly a mysterious man appeared out of nowhere and offered his help. He introduced himself by the name of Gaunter Dim. The Witcher remembered the fleeting meeting with him, the Man of Glass, or Master Mirror. He made a contract with Geralt, promising to help him out of his imprisonment, and in return asked him to do his errand. There was nothing left to do. Geralt had to agree. The ship was immediately caught in a storm. It It was thrown onto a shoal, and with the help of his skills, defeating the remaining guards after the wreck of the ship, the White Wolf returned to freedom. But the contract had to be honored, and Geralt was obliged to obey Gaunter, and he led the Witcher back to Olgierd von Everett. Over there, the White Wolf had to, just like a djinn, fulfill the 3 wishes of Olgierd, and following the terms of the contract, began to do that. Number 1 was to bring Olgierd the house of Maximilian Borsodi. Number 2 was to entertain Olgierd's brother, the brother who had died many years before. And number 3 was to retrieve the rose Olgierd had given to his beloved, who gave it to her many years ago. Fancy tasks, but Geralt did all of them, and along the way he figured out who was who. It turned out that Gaunter Eredin was a cruel dark entity that trades in human souls, makes contract with people, and takes from them the most valuable thing, their very heart, their very essence, their very soul. And Olgierd had made a contract with it, and in fact became a victim of Master Mira's cruel plot. That is why it was necessary to finish Gaunter off. But since the latter, in fact, was an invulnerable entity that could even control time, there was only one way out: to outwit him. Geralt went for another deal. This time he put himself, his soul, on the line. It was simple. He had to solve Gaunter's riddle, find his reflection, a reflection in the water. The Witcher did it. In doing so, he defeated a powerful demon and banished him from the world of the living, sparing mankind, if only for a time, from an unbelievable evil, defeating Dettlaff. And in the end, after all these amazing deeds, the White Wolf came to his last test, namely the confrontation with the real higher vampire, Dettlaff van der Eredin. Destiny had returned the vampire Regis to the White Wolf. It turned out that he had survived the fight with Vilgefortz, and it was with the help of Regis that Geralt confronted Dettlaff. But the story itself began with a contract from Duchess Anna Henrietta. The distant duchy of Toussaint was being terrorized by a beast. The Witcher had to understand the situation and help his old acquaintance, his old friend, to be more precise. As you've already realized, the beast was a higher vampire. It wasn't easy to track the latter down and confront it, or should I say, him. Everything was mixed up here. Curses, palace intrigues, and primordial beings that could cause immense destruction in a second. But in the end, as always, everything came down to a battle in which the White Wolf prevailed, and his friend Regis finished the job and finally killed the higher vampire, a creature that is not easy to kill at all. And then the Witcher finally stopped. His amazing, fantastical story had come, at least for now, to its conclusion. He was given his manor, or should I say, his villa, and left to enjoy life in the warm fairyland of knights and princesses, in Toussaint. In the end, Geralt took a well-deserved rest, wanting only one thing: to live out the rest of his days in peace, surrounded by his beloved people. Will destiny leave Geralt alone? Who knows? That is a matter for speculation, and our list of great feats of the White Wolf comes to an end. Do support this video by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And in the meantime, we thank our patrons as always for supporting our videos. And huge kudos to everyone who watched this video to the end. And see you soon when the old Witcher speaks once more.